the emotion they cannot harvest. There's an emotion the Archons fear, not love, not compassion, not forgiveness. Those emotions, the ones you've been told are high vibration, the ones spiritual teachers say will set you free. The system loves those because they keep you engaged. They keep you caring. They keep you invested in outcomes within matter. You love someone, you're attached. You forgive someone, you're still in relationship with the story. You feel compassion, you're emotionally connected to suffering, and all of it feeds the system. Because the Archons don't feed on negativity alone. They don't just harvest fear and anger and pain. They feed on emotional engagement itself. Any emotion that keeps you reacting, responding, investing energy into the material world, that's food for them. But there's one emotional state they cannot touch, one frequency they cannot harvest. One response that starves the entire mechanism. The Gnostic texts name it explicitly. The Gospel of Thomas says, "If you bring forth what is within you in stillness, what you have will save you. Not peace, not calm, not serenity, stillness." The Greek word is Hesychia, Hesychia, not the absence of emotion, not suppression, not detachment, but sovereign non-reaction. The state where you see what's happening, you feel what's happening, but you don't engage with it. You don't react, you don't respond, you don't feed it with your attention, your energy, your emotional investment. You just watch, and in that watching, in that still, silent, sovereign presence, the Archons starve, because they have nothing to harvest. No emotional charge, no reaction, no engagement, just awareness, just presence, just you, watching the system try to provoke you and choosing not to participate. The secret book of John warns, the Archons cannot hold the soul that rests in stillness. They cannot deceive the one who does not react. This isn't theory, this isn't philosophy, this is mechanism. And tonight, in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how it works, how the system feeds on your emotions, how it's designed to keep you reacting, how stillness breaks the entire architecture, and how you can practice it right now in real time to stop feeding them. If this is already resonating, hit subscribe, because what's coming next will show you exactly why they buried these texts for 1,600 years. The Archonic emotional economy. The system runs on emotion, not metaphorically, not symbolically, functionally. The Archons, the mechanisms the Demiurge created to govern matter, don't have their own energy source. They're not self-sustaining. They're not divine. They're parasitic. And what they feed on is your emotional engagement. The Pistis Sophia describes it. The Archons harvest the passions of the soul, desire and fear, anger and attachment. These are their sustenance. Every time you react emotionally to something in the material world, every time you feel fear about the future, anger about the past, desire for what you don't have, attachment to what you might lose, you're generating energy. And that energy doesn't just dissipate. It doesn't just fade. It's harvested, not by demons, not by entities, but by the system itself. The mechanisms of matter, the social structures, the narratives, the constant stimulation are designed to provoke emotional reaction And the stronger the reaction, the more energy you generate, the more the system feeds. Think about it. Why does the news cycle never stop? Why is there always a new crisis, a new threat, a new outrage? Because reaction is food. You watch the news, you feel fear, you feel anger, you feel helpless or enraged or desperate. And all of that, all of it, is energy the system can use, not to punish you, not to control you directly, but to sustain itself. The secret book of John says, the Archons created the world of passions so the soul would never rest, so it would always be seeking, always reacting, always feeding the creation with its divine spark. You're not here to learn lessons. You're not here to evolve. You're not here because you sinned or fell or need redemption. You're here because your attention, your emotional energy, your divine spark is what keeps this entire system running. And the moment you stop reacting, the moment you stop feeding it, the system begins to collapse. Not the world, not matter itself, but its grip on you. The texts describe three primary emotions the Archons harvest most efficiently: desire, the constant seeking, the belief that fulfillment exists somewhere in matter if you just find the right thing, the right person, the right experience. Fear, the anxiety about loss, about future threat, about what might happen if you don't comply, don't conform, don't participate. Attachment, the identification with outcomes, with people, with stories, with the belief that what happens in matter matters to who you are. And all three keep you engaged. You're not just living in the world, you're invested in it. You care about what happens. You react to events. You seek solutions within the system. And that investment, that caring, that reacting, is exactly what the Archons need. Because as long as you're emotionally engaged with matter, you're not remembering the pleroma. You're not recognizing your origin. You're not seeing the trap, you're just feeding it. The Gospel of Philip warns, the powers feed on the emotions of those who do not know themselves. But the one who rests in stillness, they cannot touch. Stillness, not peace, not calm, sovereign non-reaction. The state where you see the provocation, feel the pull, recognize the mechanism, and simply choose not to engage. That's the emotion they fear, because it starves them, the forbidden feeling, stillness. So if the Archons feed on emotional engagement, on desire, fear, attachment, reaction, then the opposite isn't what you think. It's not love, it's not joy, it's not high vibration positivity. Those are still emotions, still reactions, still engagement with matter. The opposite, the state the Archons cannot harvest, is stillness. The Greek texts call it Hesychia, not peace, not calm, not serenity, sovereign non-reaction, the state where you're fully present, fully aware, fully conscious, but you're not doing anything with that awareness. You're not seeking, you're not avoiding, you're not reacting, you're not trying to change what's happening or make it mean something or turn it into a lesson. You're just here, watching, breathing, still. The Gospel of Thomas says, "Blessed is the one who stands at the beginning, for they will know the end and will not taste death." The beginning, not the past, not some origin story, stillness, the state before reaction, the awareness that exists before emotion, before thought, before identification. That's what the Archons fear, because in that state, you're not feeding them. You see the news. You feel the pull toward fear, but you don't react. You just watch the mechanism trying to engage you. You see the injustice. You feel the pull toward anger, but you don't engage. You just recognize the provocation for what it is. You see the opportunity. You feel the pull toward desire, but you don't chase. You just observe the pattern repeating itself. And in that observation, in that still, silent, sovereign presence, the system has nothing to harvest. No emotional charge, no reaction, no energy, just awareness. The secret book of John describes it. The Archons cannot enter the soul that rests in stillness. They cannot deceive the one who does not move toward or away from anything. This isn't suppression. This isn't denial. This isn't pretending you don't feel. You feel everything. You see everything. You're fully present to what's happening, but you're not identified with it. You're not the fear. You're not the anger. You're not the desire. You're the awareness that watches those emotions arise and pass. And that awareness, that still, unchanging, sovereign presence, is what you are beneath the veil, the spark, the fragment of the pleroma, the divine consciousness that entered matter but was never of matter. The Archons can manipulate the body. They can provoke emotion. They can create circumstances designed to make you react. But they cannot touch stillness, because stillness isn't a state you achieve. It's not something you do. It's what you are when you stop doing anything, when you stop seeking fulfillment in matter, when you stop reacting to provocation, when you stop identifying with the story. You just rest, in presence, in awareness, in the silent, sovereign recognition of what you are. The treatise on resurrection promises, the one who rests is already risen. The one who is still cannot be bound. Not after death, not after ascension, not after some cosmic event. Now, in this moment, in this breath, the moment you stop reacting, you're free. Not free from the world, but free within it. And that freedom, that stillness, is what the entire system was designed to prevent. Because if you're still, if you're sovereign, if you're not reacting, if you're not feeding the mechanism, the Archons have no power over you. Not because you fought them, not because you transcended them, but because you simply stopped participating. How the system prevents stillness. The Archons know stillness is their weakness. They know that the moment you stop reacting, the moment you rest in sovereign presence, they lose their grip. So the entire system is designed to prevent that state, not occasionally, not subtly, constantly. Every mechanism of modern life, every structure, every narrative, every stimulus is engineered to keep you emotionally engaged, to keep you reacting, to keep you seeking, to keep you moving. Because stillness requires one thing the system cannot allow: space. Space between stimulus and response. Space between provocation and reaction. Space between what happens and what you do with it. And the moment you have that space, the moment you pause, breathe, observe, the veil becomes transparent. You see the mechanism. You recognize the pattern. You realize you're being provoked intentionally. So the system fills every gap. The secret book of John describes it. The Archons created a world of noise so the soul would never hear itself. A world of constant motion so it would never rest. Look at your life right now. How much silence do you experience in a day? How much stillness? How often do you sit, truly sit, without your phone, without distraction, without something to do or consume or react to? The answer for most people is never, because the system doesn't allow it. You wake up, you check your phone, news, messages, notifications, immediate emotional engagement, immediate reaction. You go to work, constant stimulation, tasks, emails, meetings, problems to solve, no space, no pause, no stillness. You come home, you turn on the TV, scroll social media, consume content, more stimulation, more reaction, more engagement. And even when you try to rest, when you meditate, when you practice mindfulness, when you seek peace, the system offers you techniques, breathing exercises, visualization, mantras, affirmations, all of which keep you doing something, all of which prevent true stillness. Because stillness isn't a practice. It's not something you achieve through effort. It's what happens when you stop. Stop seeking, stop doing, stop trying to fix or improve or transcend. Just stop. The Gospel of Thomas warns, if you do not fast from the world, you will not find the kingdom. Fasting from the world, not physically, not by retreating to a monastery or leaving society, but emotionally, withdrawing your investment, stopping your reaction, refusing to engage with the constant provocation. And the system knows this, the Archons know this, so they've built a world where stillness is almost impossible, where every moment is filled, where every silence is interrupted, where every pause is seen as wasted time. They've made busyness a virtue, productivity a goal, constant engagement a necessity. And they've made stillness, true, sovereign, non-reactive presence, seem like weakness, like passivity, like giving up. But the texts say the opposite. The Pistis Sophia promises, the soul that rests in stillness is stronger than all the Archons combined, because it cannot be moved. Not physically, not circumstantially, but emotionally. You can be in the chaos. You can be in the noise. You can be surrounded by provocation. But if you're still, if you're not reacting, not engaging, not feeding the mechanism, the system has no power over you. That's what they fear. Not your anger, not your rebellion, not your resistance, your stillness, because stillness starves them. The Gnostic practice of emotional sovereignty. So the system is designed to prevent stillness, to keep you reacting, to keep you engaged. But the texts don't just describe the problem, they give you a method, a practice you can use right now, in this moment, to break the cycle of reaction and return to stillness. Not a meditation, not a technique, not something you do once and you're done. A protocol, 3 steps, repeatable, immediate. The secret book of John calls it the practice of the unmoved soul. Step 1, witness without reaction. The moment you feel provoked, The moment you feel fear, anger, desire, attachment, you stop and you witness it, not analyze it, not understand it, not try to change it or transcend it, just see it. There is fear, there is anger, there is desire, not I am afraid, not I am angry, not I want this, just observation, just recognition, just awareness watching emotion arise. The Gospel of Thomas says, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. Bringing forth, not suppressing, not denying, not pretending you don't feel, but externalizing, separating, recognizing that the emotion is not you. It's something happening in you, something moving through the body, through the mind, through the nervous system, but it's not you. You're the awareness that's watching it. And the moment you witness without identifying, the moment you see the emotion is separate from yourself, the first layer of the trap dissolves. Step 2, refuse the story. The moment you witness the emotion, the mind will try to explain it. I'm angry because they wronged me. I'm afraid because the future is uncertain. I desire this because it will make me happy. And all of those explanations, all of those stories, pull you back into engagement. Because now you're not just feeling the emotion, you're believing it, you're justifying it, you're building a narrative around it. And that narrative keeps you reacting. So the second step is simple. Refuse the story. The Pistis Sophia warns. The Archons speak through the mind. They offer explanations, justifications, narratives, all designed to keep the soul engaged. You don't need to know why you feel what you feel. You don't need to understand it or resolve it or make it mean something. You just need to see it. There is anger, and there is a story about why I'm angry, but I don't need the story. There is fear, and there is a narrative about what might happen, but I don't need the narrative. Just the emotion, just the sensation. Just the raw experience, without interpretation, without meaning, without story. And in that refusal, in that release of narrative, the second layer dissolves. Step 3, return to stillness. The final step is the hardest, because once you've witnessed the emotion, once you've refused the story, the mind will want to do something with that awareness. It will want to process it, integrate it, learn from it, use it. And all of it is still engagement. So the third step is stop. Don't do anything. Don't seek resolution. Don't try to maintain the state or repeat the experience. Just return to stillness. The secret book of John promises, the soul that returns to stillness after each provocation cannot be bound. The Archons lose their grip with every return. Stillness isn't a destination. It's not a state you achieve and maintain. It's a return, over and over, moment by moment. You get provoked, you witness, you refuse the story, you return to stillness. And then the next provocation comes, and you do it again, not perfectly, not without forgetting, not without getting pulled back into reaction sometimes, but functionally. Each time you return to stillness, each time you choose non-reaction over engagement, the system loses power, not over your circumstances, but over your consciousness. And that's all sovereignty ever was, not control over the world, but presence within it, not freedom from provocation, but stillness in the face of it. The texts promise. The one who practices stillness starves the Archons. The one who returns to presence is already free. What happens when you stop feeding them? You've witnessed the emotion. You've refused the story. You've returned to stillness. And now, in this moment, something shifts. Not dramatically, not with fanfare, not with some cosmic revelation, but functionally. The system notices. The Archons, the mechanisms designed to harvest your emotional energy, they recognize that you're no longer feeding them, and they respond. The secret book of John warns, when the soul withdraws its energy, the Archons intensify their provocation. They create greater crisis, louder noise, stronger pull, desperate to re-engage what they are losing. This is critical to understand. The moment you start practicing stillness, the moment you stop reacting, the system doesn't just let you go. It escalates. You'll notice it immediately. The day you decide to stop engaging with the news, suddenly there's a crisis you need to know about. The week you commit to emotional sovereignty, suddenly every relationship becomes tense, every situation becomes urgent, every provocation becomes impossible to ignore. The month you practice non-reaction, suddenly your life feels like it's falling apart, and the mind will tell you, see, this doesn't work. Stillness doesn't protect you. You need to engage. You need to react. You need to do something. But that voice, that urgency, that fear, that desperate need to act, that's not you. That's the system trying to pull you back in. The Gospel of Thomas promises, when you stop feeding the powers, they will rage against you. But if you remain still, they will collapse. Collapse, not disappear, not surrender, collapse. Because without your energy, without your emotional engagement, without your reaction, they have nothing to sustain themselves. They can provoke, they can create circumstances, they can amplify the noise. But if you don't react, if you just witness, refuse the story, and return to stillness, they starve. And here's what happens next. The provocations get weaker, the pull gets quieter, the urgency fades, not because the world changed, not because your circumstances improved, but because the system realized you're no longer available. You're no longer a source of energy. You're no longer reactive. You're no longer feeding the mechanism. You're just still. The Pistis Sophia describes it. The soul that practices stillness. The Archons cannot approach. They circle, they provoke, they create disturbance, but they cannot enter, and eventually they move on to easier prey, souls that still react, souls that still engage, souls that still believe the story. But you've withdrawn, not from life, not from the world, not from responsibility or relationship or presence, just from reaction. You're still here, still moving through matter, still inhabiting the body, but you're no longer identified with it, no longer feeding it, no longer trapped by it. And that shift, that withdrawal of energy, is what the Archons fear most, because it's contagious. One soul stops reacting, and others notice. One person practices stillness, and the pattern spreads. The system depends on collective engagement, on everyone reacting, everyone seeking, everyone feeding the mechanism unconsciously. But the moment one soul withdraws, the moment you withdraw, the entire structure weakens, not visibly, not immediately, but functionally. The secret book of John promises the soul that rests in stillness becomes a crack in the veil, and through that crack, others can see. You're not just freeing yourself, you're weakening the system for everyone, not by fighting it, not by resisting it, not by preaching or teaching or trying to wake others up, just by being still, by refusing to react, by withdrawing your energy, by starving the mechanism that depends on your engagement. That's the revolution the texts describe, not political, not social, not external, internal, sovereign, silent, the revolution of stillness, living in stillness while moving through chaos. So you've practiced stillness. You've stopped reacting. You've withdrawn your energy from the system, and now you're asking the question everyone asks at this point. How do I live like this? Because stillness sounds good in theory. It sounds powerful. It sounds like freedom. But in practice, in the middle of your life, your responsibilities, your relationships, your survival in matter, it feels impossible. You have bills to pay. You have people depending on you. You have problems that need solving. How are you supposed to be still in the middle of all that? The answer is simpler than you think. Stillness isn't inaction. It's not passivity. It's not withdrawal from life. It's not sitting in meditation while the world burns around you. Stillness is non-reactive presence. You still move. You still act. You still engage with the world, but you do it from a different place. Not from fear, not from desire, not from attachment to outcome, from awareness. The Gospel of Philip explains, "The one who is still moves through the world like water, present to everything, clinging to nothing." Water, not stone, not air, not fire, water. It flows, it adapts. It moves through obstacles without resistance, but it doesn't become what it touches. It doesn't absorb the shape of the container. It doesn't identify with the path. It just flows. That's how you live in stillness. You go to work, you pay the bills, you solve the problems, you care for the people in your life, but you're not identified with any of it. You're not the job, you're not the money, you're not the problem, you're not even the caretaker. You're the awareness that's moving through all of it, present, responsive, functional, but still. The secret book of John promises, the soul that rests in stillness can move through the Archonic world without being trapped by it. It can act without attachment. It can care without suffering. This is the key distinction most people miss. They think stillness means you stop caring, that you become cold, detached, indifferent. But that's not stillness. That's suppression. Stillness is the opposite. You care more. You're present more. You're engaged more. But you're not suffering over it. You see someone in pain. You help. Not because you're attached to fixing them. Not because their pain makes you feel something you need to resolve. But because in that moment, helping is what's present, what's natural, what flows. And when you've done what you can, you let go. You don't carry it. You don't make it mean something about you. You just return to stillness. You face a crisis. You respond, not from panic, not from fear, not from desperate need to control the outcome, but from presence, from clarity, from sovereign awareness of what's actually happening. And when the crisis passes, you let go. You don't replay it. You don't analyze it. You don't turn it into a story. You just return to stillness. The Pistis Sophia describes it. The awakened soul moves through matter like a ghost, visible, present, functional, but untouched by what it touches. Untouched, not unfeeling, not disconnected, sovereign. You're in the world, but not of it. You're in the body, but not identified as it. You're in the story, but not trapped by it. And that's how you live in stillness while moving through chaos. Not by escaping, not by transcending, not by waiting for the world to change, but by being what you are, beneath the noise, beneath the provocation, beneath the constant pull toward reaction. The divine spark, the fragment of the pleroma, the awareness that watches everything but clings to nothing. The text's promise, the one who lives in stillness is already free, not after death, not after ascension, but now, in this breath, in this moment, the one emotion that sets you free. So we've walked through the mechanism. We've seen how the system feeds on emotion, how it prevents stillness, how it escalates when you withdraw, and we've practiced the protocol. Witness without reaction, refuse the story, return to stillness. But now, in this final moment, we need to address the question beneath all of this. What is stillness really? Because if you've been following closely, you've noticed something. Stillness isn't the absence of emotion. It's not numbness. It's not detachment. It's not some cold mechanical state where you stop feeling. Stillness is presence without identification. You feel everything. You see everything. You're fully alive, fully aware, fully engaged with what's happening. But you're not claiming it. You're not making it yours. You're not turning it into identity. The secret book of John reveals the divine spark feels all things, but is moved by nothing. It experiences matter, but is not bound by matter. It knows emotion, but is not emotion. That's the state the Archons cannot touch. Not because you've transcended emotion, not because you've risen above the human experience, but because you've stopped identifying as the one having the experience. You're not the fear. You're the awareness watching fear arise. You're not the anger. You're the presence observing anger move through the body. You're not the desire. You're the stillness beneath the pull. And in that recognition, in that shift from identification to awareness, you become unharvestable. The system can still provoke the body. It can still trigger emotion. It can still create circumstances designed to make you react. But you, the real you, the spark, the fragment of the pleroma, you're untouched because you're not in the emotion. You're not in the story. You're not in the reaction. You're just here, still, sovereign, free. The Gospel of Thomas promises, when you make the two into one, when you make the inner like the outer, and the outer like the inner, when you make the male and the female into a single one, then you will enter the kingdom, the two into one. Not duality resolved, not opposites unified, but identification released. The moment you stop being the emotion and recognize yourself as the awareness, the two become one. The moment you stop being the body and recognize yourself as the presence inhabiting it, the inner becomes like the outer. The moment you stop being the story and recognize yourself as the witness, you enter the kingdom, not later, not after death, not after some ascension event, now, in this breath, in this stillness. That's what the Archons fear, not your love, not your light, not your high vibration, your stillness. Because stillness is recognition, and recognition is freedom. The Pistis Sophia concludes, the soul that rests in stillness has already escaped. The Archons may still see the body, they may still provoke the mind, but the spark, the divine consciousness, is already beyond their reach. Beyond their reach, not in another dimension, not in another realm, but here, in matter, in the body, in the world, just no longer identified with it. And that's the emotion that sets you free. Not an emotion at all, but the absence of identification with emotion. The still, silent, sovereign presence that watches everything, feels everything, experiences everything, but claims nothing. That's who you are. That's what you've always been. And the moment you remember, the moment you return to that stillness, the prison dissolves, not the world, not matter, not the body, but the trap, the belief that you are what you feel, that you are what you think, that you are the story happening in matter. You're not. You're the awareness watching it all, still, sovereign, free. The secret book of John ends with this: I have told you these things so you may know yourself, so you may remember what you are, so you may rest in stillness and starve the powers that feed on your forgetting. So rest, not later, not when the world changes, not when you've transcended or awakened or achieved some spiritual state. Now, in this moment, in this breath, just rest, and in that rest, you're already free. The texts were buried for 1,600 years, not lost, not forgotten, buried, because they told you the one thing the system could never allow you to know. You don't need to fight. You don't need to transcend. You don't need to escape. You just need to stop feeding them. And the way you stop is stillness. Witness without reaction, refuse the story, return to presence. That's the practice. That's the protocol. That's the revolution. Not loud, not visible, not external, silent, sovereign, still. If this resonated, the next episode goes deeper. We're looking at the Gospel of Judas and why betrayal might be the most misunderstood mechanism in the entire system. Until then, stay still, stay sovereign, stay awake.